wherein the appearance of Lord Krishna is described. We'll begin now with you, but at the first of the major scenes in the appearance of Krishna, which is the appearance of Krishna. It will be a little bit so today, a little bit like, sometimes we move, it starts and then it goes back. So we will go back to get the backstory of Krishna's appearance. Backstory is what but we'll begin with the day. Not yet, but in a few hours, approximately 17. With the appearance of Krishna. So, this is the 10th canto, it's the 3rd chapter, and the chapter is entitled The Birth of Lord Krishna. We're going to go to the first verse. And in the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada clubs the first verse with the second, third, fourth, and fifth. So it is that's 10, 3, 1 through 5. What I would like to do, because there's many verses, let's chant them all together, but we won't do the normal everyone else chants. Okay? Is that reasonable? All right. Sri Sruvata Ata On the occasion of the Lord's appearance, serve endowed with material attributes or facilities, a favorable time, all auspicious, and very favorable, from all points of view. A Janmashtami, the constellation of stars known as routine. None of the constellations were fierce. All of them were peaceful. And the planets and stars like machine, dāsa, all directions. The Seidu appeared very auspicious and peaceful. Gokula, all outer space or the sky. In which all the auspicious stars were visible. The upper strata of the universe. Mahi, earth. Mangala, Ishka, Pura, Rama, Raja, Akara, whose many cities, towns, pasturing grounds, and mines became auspicious and very neat and clean. Nadia, the rivers, the sunless and hard. Waters became clear. The lakes were large reservoirs of water. Appeared very beautiful because blooming lotuses formed. The birds, especially the cuckoos, and swarms of bees began to green trees and plants are also very pleasing to see. The bow, the breeze. Thereafter, at the auspicious time. No, you don't have to repeat. I'll just read it. Okay. Thereafter, at the auspicious time, charge of goodness and peace. The constellation Rohini appeared, as did stars like Ashvini. The sun, the moon, and the other stars and planets were very peaceful. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. Decorated with towns, villages, mines, and pasturing grounds, the earth seemed all auspicious. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs, full of lilies and lotuses, were extraordinarily beautiful. In the trees and green plants, full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes, birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the sense of touch and bearing the aroma of flowers. And when the Brahmins, engaging in ritualistic ceremonies, ignited their fires according to Vedic principles, the fires burned steadily, undisturbed by the breeze. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about
to appear. The saints and Brahmins, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace within the core of their hearts, and kettle drums simultaneously vibrated from the upper planetary system. Jai Srila Prabhupada. We'll read now his purport. Everyone can hear okay? As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental, and that one who factually understands them is immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. The Lord's appearance is explained in the previous chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The astrological influence of the constellation known as Rohini was also predominant because this constellation is considered very auspicious. Rohini is under the direct supervision of Brahma, who is born of Vishnu. And it appears at the birth of Lord Vishnu, who in fact is birthless. According to the astrological conclusion, besides the proper situation of the stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious moments due to the different situations of the different planetary systems. At the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. At that time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. Actually, there was one place there was not an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. In the bedroom of Kamsa. He was in a very different place. As soon as this is about to happen, he begins to see all kinds of omens and terrible things. He can't see his face in the mirror. Everything is just, he goes psycho. He's just completely crazy. So there's one place, this is not there, but everywhere else. Auspicious stars were visible in the sky, and on the surface in all towns and villages or pasturing grounds, and within the mind of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of water, and the lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. It's worth mentioning, just as we're discussing this, that this is the Ashtami of the Krishna Paksha of the month of Rishikesh, but it's also seasonally in this particular time, this is the monsoon time. So there's many things that it gets adjusted, although that it is monsoon, and we'll get into that. Although it's by normal calculation, this is the rainy season and so on, but we've heard a number of things that sort of go a little away from that. There's no clouds in the sky, for one. But the rivers are flowing full of water. The lakes were decorated with lotus flowers. Now, this is another point brought up by the acharyas, because this is night. This is the middle of the night. Of course, we're talking now about the time that is approaching. But still, we hear that although the lotuses generally bloom during the day, they bloomed at night for Krishna. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forest began to sing with sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. In some other places, it's described that although it is the monsoon season, the characteristics become like autumn or like spring. The flowers are blooming. The seasons themselves come into play in order to set the stage. At home, the Brahmins, who were accustomed to offer sacrifices in the fire, found their homes very pleasant for offerings because of disturbances created by the demoniac kings. The sacrificial fire had been almost stopped in the houses of Brahmins, but now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the Brahmins were very distressed in mind, intelligence, and activities. But just on the point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy because they could hear loud vibrations in the sky. Now, when we hear vibrations in the sky, sometimes we hear thunder and we think, lightning will come and so on. But they heard a different kind of sound. Maybe could have resembled a little bit thunder. Thunder sometimes resembles drums, right? Big drums being pounded. But these were actually the demigods pounding on their dundubis, their kettle drum. And they could hear this. Transcendental sounds proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the occasion of Lord Krishna's birth, seasonal changes took place throughout the entire universe. Krishna was born during the month of September, yet it appeared like springtime. The atmosphere, however, was very cool, although not chilly, and the rivers and reservoirs appeared just as they would in Sarat, the fall. So we have, as described, we have here the season is the monsoon, but the flowers are in the mood of spring, and the rivers are in the mood of Sarat, and the lotuses and lilies blossom during the day, Prabhupada writes. But although Krishna appeared at 12 o'clock midnight, the lilies and lotuses were in bloom, and thus the wind blowing at that time was full of fragrance. Because of Kamsa's disturbances, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies had almost stopped. The Brahmins and saintly persons could not execute the Vedic rituals with peaceful minds, but now the Brahmins were very pleased to perform their daily ritualistic ceremonies undisturbed. The business of the asuras is to disturb the suras, the devotees and Brahmins. But at the time of Krishna's appearance, these devotees and Brahmins were undisturbed. Om Agyanattamrandasya Agyananjana Salakaya Chakshumanitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Since we have no breakfast today, and since we also began a little late, although it's 8:45, we'll continue for a half an hour or so. And others can also contribute. Jai Mukham Karoti Vajram. There is a backstory. When I've thought about what to speak today, I originally thought maybe I should start with 10:1:17, which goes something like the being overburdened by the strength of demoniac kings, the earth, Bhumi, approaches Lord Brahma. So this is the beginning of this unfolding of Krishna's appearance. It begins with a situation. It begins with a situation on earth, which is alluded to as described here, a situation in which demons, in the guise of kings, have assembled great military strength and are harassing the pious devotees. Who are those demons? I was wondering who they are. One of the principal ones was Jarasandha, who will appear later in this whole episode. There's two primary characters in the demoniac contingent. Jarasandha being the most powerful. He has huge armies. When it's described that he has the unnecessary increase in military force and so on. And Prabhupada, in that purport, he compares the situation of that time with the situation of the time that he was writing, because much of what is written here is taken from his Krishna book writing. And when he was writing Krishna book, that was almost the height, quite of what we now, what was referred to then as the Cold War. The accumulation of nuclear weapons at that time was enough to destroy all humanity, 20 times over or something like that? And it is certainly very reasonable to consider and to categorize the heads of state of the US and the Soviet Union at the time as being demoniac. Of course, the head of the Soviet Union was openly atheistic, and our presidents of the 60s and 70s were not openly, but not much better. So Prabhupada compares the time of Krishna's appearance to a time in not such recent past. So we can just reflect and see that somehow Bharat, the land of Krishna's appearance again and again, had become overwhelmed with powerful demons. I was curious and looked up and saw that, well, just around the same time, we do have another contingent that will appear later on in the whole Leela of Krishna, which are the Pandavas themselves. They appear somewhat around this same time. So we have these competing forces that are arising. But on the whole, it's Jarasandha and Kamsa. Kamsa has impressed Jarasandha. They fight, at some point, I don't know the whole story, maybe somebody else does, but anyhow, they fight. Kamsa fights with Jarasandha and shows his prowess, and Jarasandha becomes very pleased and offers him a daughter or two daughters. Right? Jarasanda's 2 daughters, I think, marry Kamsa. Is that correct? Ramroy, do you remember? Anyone? Yeah. So he offers him his daughters, and Kamsa, now he's the ally, that we have an ally, and these two together, they build up their strength. They call upon powerful, real demons like Arishtashura and Putana and so on. They gather their forces, and they decide they're going to enforce their own way on the pious devotees. So Bhumi Devi sees all of this and considers what to do. She approaches Brahma. Brahma then approaches Vishnu. And Vishnu is ready. He knows. He says, don't worry. Krishna is, of course, he is speaking in the Bhagavatam that he will appear. We know that it is Krishna, the original Adi Purush, the origin of Vishnu, that is speaking in this way. Yes, I will appear. And you all devatas, all you demigods, you have to come ahead of me. So then we fast forward in the chapters that, in the first chapter of this canto, and now the next scene is being set, the marriage of Vasudeva and Devaki, in which Kamsa shows his true colors. We know how at that marriage it's very jubilant, it's very auspicious, it's very wonderful. And now, let's see, so Kamsa, the relationship, how does that, so Devaki is the daughter, they're related because, and I'm forgetting now, how is Devaki related to Kamsa? Kamsa's father is Surasena, Ugrasena is Kamsa's father, and Devaki is the daughter, hold on, Vasudeva is also, and we're going to look this up. I didn't prepare enough. It was just coming to me, and it's everyone homework, relationship. Kamsa and Devaki. Vasudeva explains that Kamsa, this is your sister, so there's some sister type of relationship. It's not exactly sister, but it's like cousin sister. So there's this relationship between the two, and we'll all look it up and find it out. Be a great study. And so everyone is happy, everyone's jubilant, it's a great occasion, and then what happens? There's a voice in the sky. And this voice proclaims, Kamsa, you're such a fool. You're driving the chariot of your sister, but you don't know the 8th child of your sister is going to kill you. So this is really too much. Kamsa, what a character Kamsa is. I mean, Kamsa is a study in sociopathic, psycho behavior. He is just, I mean, if you want to find the most what the definition of a sociopath is, they have actually no morals, so to speak. They have no compunction. There's no inhibition to do anything for themselves. They can appear externally, as Kamsa did. Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda. in this particular occasion, Kamsa put on, he's very happy, celebration and so on. But at the core of the heart, they will stop at nothing to achieve, to satisfy themselves. They have no, this is the definition of a sociopath. And in our day and age, they become serial murderers. They become serial killers. They become, a Scarface. They're like, no compunction. And it comes out. Because as soon as he hears that his life is threatened, then his immediate thought, eliminate the threat. Sister, who cares? He draws his sword. He's about to behead his own sister on the chariot of her marriage. What an evil person. Vasudeva, he brings forth all of his intelligence, and somehow in his presence of mind, he's able to pull him down from that rage of passion and able to bring him to a deal. Let's make a deal. I'll give you our sons. It's not your sister. It's her sons that you have are a threat. I'll give them to you. You can kill them. But his thought is somehow or other to save the life of Devaki. And it unfolds. Initially, Kamsa, when presented with the first child, is thinking, well, that's the first child. Okay, I'll be nice. But Narada Muni, Narada, you spoke to somebody on Sankirtan who came yesterday, and so we were sitting. I was about to talk about, who is Narad? Because someone was asking, well, who's this Narad? So we were talking about Narad, the transcendental spaceman who travels everywhere. He has the ability to go anywhere, and he always shows up. He has a particular quality to just show up in a particular situation, a particular time, in order to get it moving. He's like. He's got to stimulate, and he just like a sociopath will do anything to satisfy himself. Narada Muni will say anything sometimes in order to stimulate Krishna's pastimes, in order to help Krishna's pastimes along. And in this way, he actually advises Kamsa, well, maybe, don't know, and it could be. And thus Kamsa proceeds with his murder agenda. There's a whole backstory to this, that these 6 sons of Devaki that are killed by Kamsa are actually in previous lives, they were the sons of Kalanemi, who is this life is Kamsa, and they did something, I can't remember exactly what they did. But, and Kalanemi himself they were the sons of Marichi in their previous lives, and they offended Lord Brahma, and so they were born in demoniac. So there's all these threads that are woven together in order to make the tapestry of Krishna's Leela. But the Acharyas also point out that these 6 sons represent those anarthas of the mind, because they're originally the sons of Marichi, who represents the mind, that need to be cleansed. So they point out that the womb of Devaki is being prepared for Krishna's birth. And we know that following the birth and murder of the 6 sons, who appears? Who appears next? Balaram. Balaram. And Balaram, that's what he does. He makes the place for Krishna. So he sets the whole environment. Now, meanwhile, we also understand that because of Kamsa's fear of the eighth child, he has gone so far as to imprison Devaki and Vasudeva. He's like, I'm not taking any chances here. They're going to be locked up. I'll be ready at every moment. As soon as this child is born, I'll finish him and problem solved. I mean, you know, I got it worked out. I got a plan. I don't care for these voices in the sky, whatever they may say, but I have a plan, and I will counter these omens. So he imprisons Devaki and Vasudeva. And there they are. But something starts to take place. They're in prison. But first of all, Balaram himself appears. Now, Balaram appears in a very interesting way because he needs to actually take birth in Braj with Rohini. So in the womb of Devaki, he appears to be a miscarriage, when actually he is actually just moving. He said, okay, I'll clean things up here, or make things suitable, make everything ready for Krishna to come, and then I'll go to my mother Rohini. So he does so. But now it's time for Krishna. When Krishna enters the womb of Devaki, it's described that he enters first through the mind of Vasudeva and then into the womb of Devaki. And they feel this. They experience this great power. And there are verses that you can read today that describe the feeling and the experience of Vasudeva as Krishna is entering in. We hear how Devaki, when Krishna enters into her womb, she becomes so effulgent. She becomes so beautiful. Kamsa starts to think, what's happening? The Devatas, they begin to realize the time is coming, Krishna is going to come. They make their own prayers. And then comes today. It's a monsoon. The rain has been pouring. The Jamuna River is full and powerful. Vasudeva and Devaki are there, sequestered in their cell. Everything is dark. Some of you have visited, I think, Mathura. How many of you have visited Mathura? Many of you. Yeah. And you've gone to that, they have a place which represents that, it's not, I mean, it's made. But anyway, it shows it's down, and they're in a dungeon, in a cell, but it becomes full of light. And the time has come. As outside in the world is becoming transformed. As we've just been hearing, the whole world is coming alive with song and beauty, every direction, the stars, the sky, the fragrance of lotuses, everywhere, auspiciousness. The Brahmins light their fires, and they blaze. They feel peaceful in their minds. And down in that dungeon, becoming filled with light, Krishna comes forth with 4 arms, with bangles, with golden dress, with jewelry, just the emblem of beauty. He comes out of the womb of Devaki, not like you or I. I mean, this doesn't happen. Many of you may have attended, if you're married, you might have attended the birth of one of your children. And you know it doesn't happen like that. It's a much, much different occasion. There's all kinds of wailing and crying, and there's and the baby itself comes out crying. So it's not like that. Somehow Krishna just appears. We don't hear about, Devaki going into labor and, all kinds of, that's just one moment he's within, and the next moment he's there, holding a conch shell, holding a lotus flower, holding a club, and holding a chakra. And he's standing before Devaki and Vasudeva, who they're overwhelmed. I mean, they have some sense that a great, extraordinary personality is within. Devaki feels that this extraordinary person is within my womb. All the symptoms, everything is there, but it's not explained that she knows that it is God. And here, Krishna, Vishnu, Vasudeva has appeared. They're overwhelmed, they pray, words start tumbling out in prayers. And there's an exchange between Krishna and Vasudeva and Devaki, which we can all read today. We should read it. But the conclusion of that exchange is that Devaki's motherly sense takes over. This is still her child, although very extraordinary. And she still is feeling the sense of a mother to protect her newborn. And she still is afraid of Kamsa. And so she asks, if you appear like this, Kamsa will immediately, he will kill you. Of course, this is very unusual because at one point she's seeing God in front of her and she is his devotee, and yet still out of that motherly affection she thinks of him as a child and prays that he appear as a child. Prior to this, Krishna explains, don't worry. I'm just going to go for some time. Kamsa won't find me. Of course, he could have killed Kamsa. He doesn't even need to kill Kamsa. Kamsa can be killed in so many different ways. This is one of the explanations of the verse that explains the appearance of Krishna, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutaname dharmasya tadatmaham shijami aham. Krishna says in the Gita that I appear when a dharma arises. Paritranaya sadhunam, though. He follows this up to say that my purpose is paritranaya sadhunam. Vinashaya cha duskritam. That vinashaya of the duskrita can be done with just a thought of the Lord. And anything could happen. Could just be a mosquito required with a dangerous disease that could kill Kamsa. He doesn't need to appear. So his appearance, therefore, this verse and this purport, has to be understood properly. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha. Tattvata. In truth. So the truth of his appearance is revealed by his request for Vasudeva to take him to Braj. This is his actual intention. He's come, yes, he has some business to do as Vasudeva. We hear from the Acharyas that his business in Mathura, his business in Dwarka, that he actually never leaves Vrindavan. In fact, we hear that just at the same time that Krishna is appearing in the prison cell of Kamsa, he's actually appearing from the womb of Mother Yashoda. Simultaneously, in his feature as Vasudeva, he appears from the womb of Devaki, and he appears from the womb of Yashoda, and now they have to come together. So it's Vasudeva's service to carry, now in the baby form, the baby Krishna to Braj. So we heard how it was the monsoon time, and he's in Mathura, and Nanda Maharaj is in Gokula. And how many of you have been on the Braj Parikrama? You've been to Gokula? You haven't been yet. Ryan, you're going to go. One day, soon, we hope. But Gokula is on the other side of the Jamuna from Mathura. So he's got to cross of course, first he's got to get out of the prison cell. And we hear how that's not a big deal. Just a little bit of sleepiness is all that's required. And so that sleepiness descends upon the guards. Of course, there's a locked gate to open. That's no big deal either, because it just happens. The gates just open up. The shackles fall off. Everything just happens. Yes, this is Krishna. So, still with fear, Vasudeva picks up the baby Krishna and walks out. Everyone's sleeping. The doors are open. He gets to the Jamuna, this is, as we said, this is the monsoon. The rivers are full. We just heard that rivers are full. How is he going to get across? During the dry times, these rivers could be crossed. I mean, even when I came to Mayapur in 1976, before they built what's called the Faraka Barrage to keep the river with more water during the dry time, We could almost walk across the Ganges during April, the real dry time. The water was so low. We could easily swim. So, but this is the monsoon. This is when the rivers are full. But the river parts. Jamuna Devi parts her waters to allow Vasudeva to carry baby Krishna. And by the arrangements of Yogamaya, who's already appeared as well in Braj, Nanda is asleep. Yashoda herself, she's given birth, but she's asleep. And Vasudeva is able to secretly enter. He knows they're old friends, Nanda and Vasudeva. They're also related. There's the wife of, anyway, relationships is our homework. We'll all study and get all the relationships right here. But so he knows the house of Nanda Maharaj. He knows where to go, and he enters in. And there, to his eyes, he sees a baby girl. Krishna is also there. And the Krishna that Vasudeva is carrying and combines with the Krishna that was born of Yashoda, and the baby girl that she doesn't even know about is delivered to Vasudeva. Vasudeva brings that baby girl back, enters in, the guards are still asleep. Somehow the shackles go back on his leg, so everything looks the same. And then the sound comes, the baby's born, the guards awake, they're all excited, Kamsa, the eighth child is born, and my child is here. Kamsa meanwhile, he's had this terrible night. He's had this extraordinary, all kinds of, for him, it's not peace, and he's like seeing, he looks at his mirror, he doesn't see his reflection. He's like completely going mad. What is that? Now, the death has, how does it go? The cruel death of my life has appeared. But the sociopath that he is, he doesn't care. He's going to kill. He's going to do it. He's going to take care of this. I can take care of this. This is the demon quality. I can take care of this, right? Don't worry, I am powerful. I've killed so many. I've done so many things. He comes in. He grabs the baby girl. And just think of the demoniac quality of Kamsa. He takes this small child, infant, baby, crying. He takes it by the legs and he smashes the child onto the ground, and the child doesn't die, but rises up into the sky and proclaims, Kamsa, you are such a fool. You are such a fool. Like, how does it go? The child is going to kill you, is already born. You forget it, you're finished. Before this, there is a little plea, Vasudeva, it's a girl. And the omen said the eighth son is going to kill you. This is not a son. Kamsa doesn't care. Son, girl, maybe it was wrong. Maybe he got the gender wrong. Maybe it was like today, who's gender. Maybe it was a trans. I don't want to get into that. That's offensive. But but still, you know, his mind, Kamsa's mind is like that, full of offense. Grabs the child, murders the child, thinks he's murdering the child. And now what? Now what? Now Kamsa thinks, oh, no. And then all kinds of changes take place in him, and he thinks, oh, he frees, and that's a whole other story that you can read. But over in Braj, a new day is dawning. And Krishna is there. Krishna has appeared in Vrindavan. And Nanda and Yashoda and all of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they're all filled with bliss. And the pastimes will unfold day by day, moment to moment. And today, we can reflect on these, we can read of them, and try to realize the message of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, Janma, Karma, Jame Divyam. The transcendental, the Divyam nature of this birth of Krishna and his activities. In truth, the truth of it, the truth of Krishna's appearance is bewildering. I mean, the fact, I should say, the fact of Krishna's appearance is bewildering to the atheists and to the impersonalists. They can't actually accommodate. How can the unborn, because here this verse actually uses the term ajjana, the one who is unborn. To refer to Krishna, they refer to him as ajjana, the unborn. And yet the unborn is born. This is the mystery of Krishna. The Adi Purush, the unlimited person, the supreme original person, from whom everything is coming, the origin of all energy, the controller of everything. We are just tiny, infinitesimal. Infinite. There's the infinite, and there's the infinitesimal. So small we are. And Krishna is everything. We know how we are born. We know how we live in these bodies, these material bodies that give us so much pain, that are never what we want. I mean, no one. Sometimes somebody may really work hard and say, yeah, I got it, now. They're close, they feel, close to having the perfect body. They've worked out, they've done this or that. But there's always, but there's this thing over here, this little something that's got to be fixed because it's never perfect. What to speak of our minds, our subtle bodies, our personalities that we're always tweaking, and I should be like this, I should be like that. Here we are, infinitesimal, tiny jivas, sparks of consciousness, absorbed in these material bodies. This is what we know as birth, as karma, janma and karma. And if we try to apply that that experience, our experience of Janma and karma to Krishna, then we will be completely lost, because we can't, how God can be like us. Although there's something like some saying, what if God was one of us? You know? God can be whatever He wants to be. This purport says, He appears out of His sweet pleasure. Why does He appear? Why does He take birth? There's an external, parichanaya sadhunam vinashaya, we're going to destroy all these demons. He was asked. Bhumi asked Brahma. Brahma came and asked him. So, he's obliging. All of those things are there. But the real fact that we can meditate on is that Krishna appears today and every day. This is another fact that we have to meditate on. That Krishna's appearance, it's like the sun. The sun rises, appears to appear in our sky, and appears to disappear, but it's there all the time. So Krishna's appearance in this world does not mean that He's born like we are. He appears like the rising of the sun. Why? For His sweet pleasure. For His pleasure. And what is that pleasure? To engage in loving pastimes with His devotees. Where? Especially in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is his spiritual home, his actual he describes that there is, I have a world beyond this world. The world that we're experiencing today is actually only a reflection of His spiritual world, his sanatan, His eternal Satchitananda world. And in that world, His most favorite place, the place that He calls home, that He calls His home, that He feels most at home, is Goloka Vrindavan. And He manifests that home here in this world in order to invite us. Come, come, come. If we're very, very fortunate to fall in love, was a t-shirt that people wear, I left my heart in Vrindavan. If we're fortunate enough to fall in love with that place, and we hear and we understand Janmashtami, we understand that place. We understand that the activities of that place, the appearance of Krishna in that place, the people of that place are all divyam. They're all transcendental. They all arise out of pure love. Our appearance, our activities, what we experience in this world that we occupy today are based on our selfish desires to enjoy the world independently of Krishna. But that world is based on only one desire, to please Krishna. Even, we were reflecting that there's a passage when the gopis are inquiring from Uddhava, Uddhava has returned, has come to Vrindavan with a message from Krishna. Krishna has gone to Mathura. And the gopis are inquiring about how he's doing, what he's doing, and they begin to talk about the ladies of Mathura. And they reflect, but we know Krishna can't be happy with them because we know what Krishna wants. It's not their relationship, their feeling towards Krishna, their love of him, the way they behave, which is on the surface amorous and has all the conjugal features. But it's born out of a pure desire to please him. And they know that he is pleased by them. And so when they're not there to please him, they feel that pain. He's not getting what he really wants. That is the mood of all of the residents of Vrindavan. And that is Krishna's mood as well in Vrindavan. How to please his devotees. So that exchange of love, this is the divyam, this is the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance and activities, janma karma. To understand that is what makes it transcendental. It's transcendental in two ways. It's transcendental in the sense of not being limited by the material sphere. There's no limitations in Krishna's appearance and his activities. It's fully under his control, not like ours, where we are forced by nature. He is free to do anything and everything. And it is divyam because it is surcharged with spiritual energy, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So let us try to understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities on this day, reflect on those, hear about them, and of course, try to experience his appearance in our own hearts through the vibration of his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. I wish everyone the most auspicious and glorious Janmashtami. I wish you all to be fully energized for all the service that you have to do today. We have lots of service to do, and in that spirit, I'm going to end here unless anyone has some questions or comments. There'll be more opportunities. We hope you can get your devices out with the audio and start listening while you're sweeping the floors or cleaning this or cutting the vegetables or whatever you have to do. But you can all be listening and chanting as you do all these things, because service is also worship. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Janmashtami ki jai, Janmashtami Maha Mahotsav ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.